Welcome to the Center for the Study of Race and Democracy's 2022 Virtual Community Resource Fair. My name is Catherine DeRoe. I am a Global Studies and German major at Arizona State University, and I am currently an intern at the CSRD. Can you please state clearly your name, your title, and your organization's name?
Yes, I am Colleen Wessel-McCoy, she, her. I am part of the Arizona Poor People's Campaign, and I serve as an interim tri-chair with that organization. I live in Phoenix.
Fantastic, thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about the Arizona Poor People's Campaign's mission?
Yeah, so the Arizona Poor People's Campaign is part of a larger national movement called the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. And the Poor People's Campaign has been around since 2018. It actually launched on the 50th anniversary of the Poor People's Campaign of 1968, led by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And our commitment is to building up the leadership of poor and low wealth and impacted people across the country to respond to policies and related to poverty, systemic racism, military, like a war budget, environmental devastation, and distorted moral narratives like Christian nationalism.
Fantastic, thank you very much. So in terms of community outreach, what kind of work does your organization do, and with exactly whom does it do it with?
Yeah, so we've started as people who are interested in bringing the Poor People's Campaign to Arizona, and so we're actually statewide. There's people that are taking part in the Poor People's Campaign from across Arizona, and we outreach mainly through like our own networks of people who we think would be interested and want to get involved. And so for some people that includes congregations or religious communities. For some that's who you are neighbors with, or people that you know through your community. But we sort of think about who is it that would similarly be interested in the Poor People's Campaign, and find ways of connecting with each other.
Fantastic. And so what kind of important things does your organization do? Maybe you could expand upon some important projects or notable other things that you have achieved.
Yeah, so one of the things that we're really excited about right now is mobilizing to go to Washington, D.C. for a national convening of the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. And that's June 18th, 2022. And so people are going to be caravanning from across the country, from states, all the states in the nation will be convening in June for a moral march a moral march on poverty, and a moral march around these intersecting evils, and around a policy platform that takes on what has been impacting us as poor and low wealth people.
Awesome, thank you. And looking more locally, what are some things that your chapter or branch has done within Arizona?
Yeah, so one of the things that we're going to be really excited about coming out of June 18th is voter registration and voter mobilization. And really looking across Arizona and seeing how many people have not been voting, and particularly low-income people who have not been voting at the same rates as higher income people. And so really having a campaign to get people registered, get people thinking about the election, and then turning out for the election.
That's really important, especially with this upcoming election, I'm sure. And so thank you for giving a little bit of an overview of what your organization's mission is, what it does. And I was just wondering, how did you get involved with the Arizona Poor People's Campaign?
Yeah, so I used to live in New York, and I was part of the New York Poor People's Campaign, and have been really excited about this work of tying together systemic racism with systemic poverty, the environment, the military budget, and distorted moral narratives, and the way that they have to be tied together, and that by taking just one piece on doesn't really get it the way that they sort of mutually support each other and hold each other in place. And so it's, the Poor People's Campaign is like takes each of those issues apart and really tries to understand them on their own, but then like pulls them back together and then pulls a broad network of people, across race, ethnicity, geography, to really respond to the ways that we're all being hurt by these interrelated evils.
Awesome. Thank you for that answer. That was really good to hear. So I do know that from what you've told me that the Poor People's Campaign is both national and local. So for our participants who are both local to Arizona and coming from all around the country and the world, how would you suggest that they could get involved?
So there's two different ways. You can email us directly at arizona@poorpeoplescampaign.org, and that goes directly to us. You can also go to the national website, poorpeoplescampaign.org, and that'll connect you both with Arizona resources, but also with more about the national campaign. And if you sign up on the national page, it'll connect you directly with the Arizona campaign.
Awesome. And for those looking to fight poverty in their own communities, what is some advice that you give to them?
Yeah, I think that, all kinds of action are going to be necessary in order to really address poverty because it is so widespread. And so I think that like looking around your community and seeing where people are meeting needs and then tying that like immediate meeting of needs to the big policy advocacy that groups are doing with the Poor People's Campaign and other groups, but it's that relationship of both meeting immediate needs and tying that to the big systemic changes and really taking on the kinds of policies to really transform the way things are happening on the ground.
And I have one more question for you today, and it's more along the lines of what we are doing here at the CSRD for our Delivering Democracy. So my question for you is, what does delivering democracy mean to you?
For me, delivering democracy, making real in the lives of all people the promises of a democratic nation.
Awesome. And then how does that relate to your organization?
So one of the things that I love is that the featured speaker last year at Delivering Democracy is actually one of the co-leaders is Reverend Dr. William J. Barber II, and he was the featured speaker last year at Delivering Democracy. And so I'm really excited to continue that relationship and continue to build here in Arizona and with Delivering Democracy.